For free will is difficult? Okay, let me think of it this way. Let me first posit the notion of naturalism. Okay, let's say ontologically, the ultimate reality consists merely of motion, space, matter, motion, space, and time. Sorry. What we experience is within the frame of this particular philosophical conception. Human consciousness would merely be an epiphenomenon of chemical reactions, electrical impulses, functioning within material structure, physical structures, and various materials. Now, even if that is true, if that even can be a thing, free will would be an illusion of the mind, because what is the principle of will in this conception? If our consciousness is nothing more than the product of something that is not conscious, that is in and of itself merely functioning according to the laws of physics, our sense of free will would be an illusion. It would be a kind of natural determinism. However, I would argue from a different philosophical standpoint, and that is, I would argue that there is something immaterial about the human person that is distinct from the matter that is the brain, which is, to put it in the language of Aristotle, would be that the soul is the form of the body. It is the soul which makes us human. And as such, our intellect. Wait a second. I don't know what we're listening to here. Just make sure it's not too loud, because I don't want it to be caught in the video and get flagged or something. What was I saying? Oh, so one's conception. It's not loud at all. Okay. Maybe I can turn it up a little bit. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. It's supposed to be just along with the hum in the back. One's conception of the human person changes the way in which we think about consciousness and free will and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, if I was a materialist, if I held to philosophical naturalism, I'd probably hold to some sort of form of determinism. But because from a Catholic perspective, we do have an immaterial soul that's created in the image and likeness of God, and that this image is primarily in the soul, and that the powers of the soul is the will, the intellect, self-mastery, the passions. In speaking about a question of free will, let me propose this. This is more of a Thomistic conception of the relationship between the will and the intellect. So you not only have this anthropology where there is such a thing as a soul, and we've enumerated some of the powers of the soul. Now we're talking about the relationship between these various powers. Unlike Augustine, who did think of the will as primary, in Thomistic thought, the intellect is what's primary. Okay, our will is a rational appetite, meaning that what we will because we perceive with our intellect a good. There is a good that is being perceived. Now, it could be incorrectly perceived, which is why the intellect needs to be properly informed, so we can see things as they are in of themselves. But to the degree in which we choose one thing over another is because we perceive in them a greater good. This is why the idea is that in the beatific vision, when the intellect finds rest in seeing God as he is in himself, which is goodness itself, answers the question, why wouldn't we just walk away from God if we were in heaven? Do we lose the choice? Well, in one way of looking at it is, no, we don't lose the choice. We just don't want it because we have seen goodness itself as it is in itself. The will continue to be directed towards God and will just continue to be in doing that. Now, far from that being the will being enslaved, rather, the will is the freest in this. That as a rational appetite has found its fulfillment in what the intellect perceives as the ultimate good. The will won't want to. It's not a matter of can't. It's a matter of the will has been properly directed. Inasmuch finds the fulfillment, therefore the freedom of what it is, why it's there, its reason, its purpose is accomplished. The will is freest under these conditions.